Presentation of Fox Sports.
We are sports. We are Sun.
Rays right-hander Alex Cobb is rounding into form in 2017, winning 3 of his last 4 starts. And tonight, Alex leads the Rays up against two-time AL MVP Mike Trout and the Los Angeles Angels. We welcome you inside Tropicana Field where the homestand continues. Tonight, game 2 of this series between the Rays and the Los Angeles Angels. After winning 4 in a row, the Rays have dropped 2 straight, including a game last night to the Angels. And again tonight, they'll have to deal with the reigning MVP in the American League, Mike Trout, who is second in hitting and home runs. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. Good to have you aboard. Alex Cordry will be along in just a few moments. Well, the Rays trying to find the winning side of the ledger, get back to 500, and they'll send Alex Cobb to the mound tonight.
Well, I'll tell you something. It's been a lot of fun this year watching Alex Cobb really kind of reinvent himself. You know, it used to be with Alex, it was fastball, split changeup, occasional curveball. This year, it's been fastball, curveball, occasional split changeup. Regardless of what he's using out there, it has been highly effective. And if you go back over his last 4 starts, 3-1 record, ERA of 2.63, and how about the opponent's average of just 184? On top of that, he's getting deep into games, averaging almost 7 innings pitched to start, and he's given up just 1 home run in those 4 starts.
If he's been anything, he's been resourceful, and he'll have to be that again tonight with the likes of the MVP, Mike Trout, in the middle of this lineup. Alex Cordry will have more on Mr. Trout in a moment.
For the Rays as they take on Mike Trout and company in game 2 of this 4-game series here at the Trop. The Angels' Mike Trout is the best player in baseball, and he's trending towards becoming one of the all-time greats. But for Trout, the 25-year-old is in a league of his own, and we'll show you here with our now time for our Coors Light Cold Hard Facts. Take a look at some of Trout's career highlights. He's a decorated player receiving multiple awards for his remarkable efforts. His opponents, like Alex Cobb and the Rays, respect the fact that Trout continues to play at an MVP caliber level.
When you do have to face them, make sure you get the bases empty, and you hope to make him hit your pitch. But all of those pitches are his pitches to hit, so it'll be a fun challenge.
The best player in baseball, hands down. The best player I've ever seen. It's probably one of the best players to ever play this game. You know, get to be able to see what goes in on a daily basis, how hard he works, how he goes about his business, and then how he competes on the field. You know, he makes the game look really easy, and it's not. And if you watch him on a daily basis, it seems like everything on defense, offense, base running comes easy to him.
Well, the series not only features Mike Trout, but how about the Rays' very own Logan Morrison, who continues to swing a hot bat these days. What does Lomo have in store for an encore? We'll find out next as the Rays baseball is coming up at you fast right after this break here on Fox Sports Sun.
We welcome you back to Tropicana Field. On his way to the mound, Alex Cobb to face the Los Angeles Angels. Cobb coming off a 7-4 win Wednesday on the road in Cleveland over the Indians. Let's take a look at the lineup he'll face tonight for the Angels, presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Cameron Maben's going to lead it off, followed by that young man right there, Michael Trout. Albert Pujols will be the DH. He'll hit third. Luis Valbuena is at first base in the cleanup spot. Andrelton Simmons, the shortstop, hits fifth in front of Cole Calhoun. Martin Maldonado will catch. Danny Espinosa is the second baseman. He'll bat eighth, and the number 9 hitter at third is Cliff Pennington.
Well, and for Alex Cobb, his season numbers not bad at all. 4-3 record, 3.67 earned run average. But like we talked about in the open, the little run that he's on right now in his last 4 starts, 3-1, 2.63, and looks much more comfortable with the new mix of pitches. The fastball, then the curveball, and then that occasional split changeup. Let's take a look at the Rays defense. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. And in the outfield left to right, we're going to have Colby Rasmus, Kevin Kiermaier, and Steven Souza Jr. And across that infield, third to first, Evan Longoria, Tim Beckham, Daniel Robertson, and Logan Morrison, with Derek Norris behind the plate.
All set to play ball. Alex Cobb has made 4 career starts against the Angels. He's 1-1 in those 4 starts. And the last time he faced them was in August of 2012 out in Anaheim. So here we go tonight. Cobb trying to get the Rays back to 500. They're 23-24 to start play tonight. And the first pitch of this game to Cameron Maybin is too high, a fastball upstairs. Angels start the night at 24-23. They're running 3rd in the American League West. The Rays 4th in the American League East. Maybin pops it up. That ball will be out of play. Morrison after it, but well back into the stands.
Well, and here recently, the Angel offense has started to come to life. Cameron Maybin going into the leadoff spot. You saw his batting average just .244, but he's been hot lately swinging the bat and taking a lot of walks. So he's been on base. He's got speed, create a little bit of havoc for the big boys behind him.
On 4 times last night with a single, 2 walks, and a home run. It's a ball away, 2-1. Here's that home run, and he hit one of the catwalks up here.
He put a dent in the C ring. That ball was well struck.
Now 3-1.
But you talk about hot. Last 6 games since he's moved into that spot, 542 average. You can't ask for anything more than that. My goodness.
And he drives this one deep to left, and he's still hot. That one is out of here. Home run to left center field. And the Angels take a 1-0 lead. 3-1 pitch, and Maybin connects for the 2nd night in a row.
Well, I'll tell you what, for a guy who's not a home run hitter per se, this ball comes off the bat hot. I mean, obviously a mistake middle of the plate around the belt, but that ball was absolutely shot out of here.
So the Angels take the lead, and now here's Mike Trout. It does not get any easier when this guy steps in. And there's a shot to left field, and that one is going to get out of here. On successive pitches, home runs, and that's number 15 for Trout. Maybin and Trout go back to back. 2 very well struck pitches right there by Maybin and now Trout.
It'll be interesting to see the exit velocity on both of those, because this was a carbon copy. Same pitch, same spot, just maybe a little bit lower, but boy oh boy, same trajectory off the bat. This ball, an absolute laser beam line drive. I mean, yeah, you're almost the same spot all the way around.
Here's Albert Pujols. And the breaking ball is in there for a strike. So the curveball in play now. 0-1 the count. Chopper to third, fair, back of the bag. Longoria with plenty of time makes the play. So that's the first out. Angels, for the third time this year, have hit back-to-back home runs to start this game tonight.
Well, look at it this way, Dwayne. The Rays hit 2 solo shots in the first inning of last night's game and did not win. So.
Well, the Rays have jumped out in front so much this year, so maybe they'll do the reverse magic here. 18th time the Rays let a lead get away from them and result in a loss last night. Strike to Valbuena. Couple of home runs with a 167 start. It's Longoria alone on the left side. Handles that one off the bat of the Angels first baseman tonight.
Well, positioned perfectly as they pulled everybody around. Evan Longoria, the only man on that left side. It's amazing how many times that happens and the ball is hit right at him. I mean, you talk about doing some scouting and having the pitch work out. Now more traditional, and that's because this guy right here, Andrelton Simmons, and we saw it last night, not afraid to shoot that ball the other way.
Takes a pitch away, and of course Simmons, long known for his great defensive work and starting to get a reputation as a guy who really grinds out good at bats as well. He lines it into left center field. Rasmus tries to cut it off. The ball rolls over to Kiermaier. Into second base goes Simmons with the double. 2 home runs, 2 ground balls to third, and now the 2-base hit.
Yeah, and that ball was hit extremely hard, and that's why Colby Rasmus was forced to dive for it. Did not want to allow this ball to get to the wall. Middle of the plate down, and Simmons, look at the head down. And boy, he just uses that leverage. Line drive hitter, that's his MO. And that ball was scorched. And Rasmus able to just knock it down. But Simmons still out in scoring position here with 2 outs.
The hitter is Cole Calhoun. And a ground ball by the mound, and right there is Beckham on the first base side of second. So that takes care of the Angels, but they score 2. The Rays will have Corey Dickerson to lead off their half of the first. Rays coming in to hit. We'll take a quick look at the lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Corey Dickerson leads off, followed by Kevin Kiermaier and Evan Longoria. Down the middle, Logan Morris and Tim Beckham, and then Colby Rasmus. Steven Souza Jr. in there hitting 7th. Derek Norris will catch and hit 8th. Daniel Robertson is the second baseman.
Corey Dickerson, you can't be much hotter than this guy. And look at the 6-game hit streak, but the number right here in the middle. 6-game hit streak, one thing. 6 home runs, 10 driven in. Out of the leadoff spot. He's been getting it done in a big way, and last night on his birthday takes that ball opposite field for a leadoff home run. He has been something else for the Rays here in this lineup all season long.
Well, here is Corey Dickerson with a dozen home runs, taking the first pitch from Matt Shoemaker. A ball and no strikes.
Shoemaker making his 10th start of the season, 3 wins on the year. 2 of them have come in his last 2 starts against the Detroit Tigers and the Chicago White Sox leading into this game.
Cut, a foul ball, reflecting all the way down toward the end of the Rays dugout. And the Maldonado trying to shake it off right now. The league's leading hitter in Corey Dickerson. A 1-2.
Well, you're going to see an awful lot of that from Shoemaker to left-handed hitters. A lot of fastball, little split changeup, heavier on the slider to the righties, as you would imagine.
And there you go, a swing and a miss on that pitch, and Dickerson is out on strikes.
Well, you saw strike 2. He used it almost like a traditional changeup. This one comes out a little bit lower and starts to dive bomb, and Corey Dickerson has been so adept at getting to pitches like that and spoiling them, finding him a way to put him in play. That one too far down, and Shoemaker picks up the first out of the game for him.
You know, Shoemaker was 9-13 last year, but had a really great run in the second half. And there were stretches where he used that split more than the fastball in some of his outings.
Yeah, everything now is so lineup specific.
Kiermaier pops it into shallow left toward the line. Maben is there, just fair, and he makes the catch.
Cameron Maben, long strider, coming in to make that play. Let's look at the rest of the Los Angeles Angel defense, brought to you by Golden Diamond Source. Across that outfield, left to right, of course, Maben. Then we got Mike Trout, Cole Calhoun across the infield, third to first. Cliff Pennington, Andrelton Simmons, what appears to be a bear, and Danny Espinosa, Luis Valbuena, and Martin Maldonado behind the plate. That is some beard right there.
Between Espinosa and Shoemaker, I mean, they've got some serious facial hair going.
And it's dark. Espinosa, he's trimmed his up since the photo day. But that photo day, he barely had a little hole there for his mouth.
1 strike to count to Evan Longoria. Yeah, he's tightened it up a little bit.
A little bit. That headshot, I'm not sure.
I mean, they were interchangeable.
Yeah.
On photo day.
Yeah, well, you could see. I mean, you could see that that's a full beard.
2-1 to Evan. Evan with 6 career at-bats against Shoemaker. He is 1 of 6. Shoemaker 3-0 against the Rays and 2-0 here at the Trop. And a little chopper handled by Espinosa. Rays are up and down 1-2-3. We go to the second with the score 2-0 Los Angeles. baseball on Fox Sports Sun, brought to you by your local Ford dealer. By Frontier Communications, get Fios TV, voice, and internet today. By Jeep, get great deals at the Jeep Spring Clearance event. And by your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. A couple of home runs and a double off Alex Cobb in the first. So Martin Maldonado, the catcher, leads off the second. The bottom three in the order: Maldonado, Espinosa, and Pennington. That's a strike. He went around. One and one.
And you may see a little bit more of that from Alex Cobb here. The way that the Angels jumped on that fastball in the first inning, a little, more of the curveball, maybe more of the breaking ball than he planned on early here to get them off. Almost pitch backwards. And that could be an effective way to attack a lineup that's looking for the heater.
And that's the thing about him. He's capable of doing that. He's shown in the absence of that good changeup, that split. Longoria takes care of this. He's been able to put together some really great starts. In fact, the last time out, I think we had him at maybe 6 of those changeups. 6 splits is all he threw, and everything else fastball, curveball.
That's about right. I mean, that number could be plus or minus a couple, but regardless, the point is he's not using it a whole lot. I mean, he is picking his spots with it, but it's been the fastball, the curveball, the command of the heater to both sides of the plate, and down has been very good. Occasionally, he'll raise your eye level with the heater, and then he's been awfully good with the command of the curveball.
There's a bunt attempt by Espinosa, foul, strike one. His mindset is still to have that available. I mean, he's going to come out with a fastball and a curveball, but he's not going to completely forget about the changeup. He's going to see if it's going to work or not, and hopes that that old one comes back.
Well, you could see fastball, changeup, curveball all the way down the line his career. And then 2017 completely flipped. I mean, completely. You know how hard it is for a pitcher to do that? A pitch that literally has gotten him to the big leagues, the effectiveness of the split changeup, and then realizing after the Tommy John surgery, it's not where I want it to be, and to not completely abandon it, but push it down to the, right to the back of the bus, and then all of a sudden here comes the curveball, and he's been able to not only just do that and survive, but thrive. You saw the numbers of the last 4 starts, and there was an absolute transition period coming out of spring training. How about the curveballs in this at bat?
And they're unhittable, uncatchable too, as it turns out.
Yeah.
And Norris goes down to Morrison to throw out Espinosa.
That's what he's been good with. Espinosa tries to bunt the first one, which was a straight curveball. A get me over, get ahead in the count, strike curveball. Well, now you get to 2 strikes, and he's been able to now, here's my put away, 2-strike curveball, and he lays it right in the dirt.
So a ground ball and a strikeout. Base is empty. And Cliff Pennington, who's playing third base tonight, switch hitting infielder, batting from the left side. He's laying out a fastball.
A 91-mile-an-hour fastball, which begs, what else will you be looking for? I mean, could you possibly be sitting on a first pitch curveball in your first at bat of the game? Look like it.
And a strike call, fastball. 0-2. Beckham goes to the shortstop side of second, and Longoria moves to the right side with an 0-2 count.
Very specific on the shift.
One ball, 2 strikes. Rays down by 2 early. The 1-2 to Pennington. Bouncer, that'll be foul. Alfredo Griffin with the pickup. And distributes the souvenir. Popper back a third, foul. That'll bounce into the stands.
Well, right now he has Pennington really confused and in between the fastball and the curveball. That fastball, well, the first fastball the at bat was by him. That last fastball splintered his bat. Having trouble catching up to that and getting a good read on that hook.
So we'd like to keep him all night.
And the other 8.
Yes, and the other 8 as well.
But here we are, Dwayne. We are the 9th hitter that Alex Cobb has faced and not seen a change up yet. At least I haven't.
Nope. Ground ball. This is Beckham scooping near the bag at second. The throw to first in time. A 1-2-3 second inning to an inning and a half. 2-0 Angels. The Rays trailing and coming in to hit. Hey, get in on the action with exclusive on-field seating. Right there in the Papa John's bullpen box, your group of 50 to 85 can enjoy that private party area just steps from the Rays bullpen. Reserve the Papa John's bullpen box by contacting Group Sales at 888-FAN-RAYS or emailing Group Sales at raysbaseball.com. Limited dates remain.
You know what they cannot, you can't put it into the read and you can't put it into the advertisement, but it's kind of like a side wink part of it. The souvenirs, the number of baseballs that end up down there. You can't guarantee it, so you can't promise it, but you're going to get some action.
Yeah, and there's always a possibility that Steven Souza Jr. will drop by.
Well, yes, and since
it might be, a lateral dive.
Right, you got to look out.
Yeah,
he may tackle you.
2-0 the count. We're just saying, not guaranteed, but we've seen it happen.
At least that was on the road, though. It was in Toronto. It wasn't even in the country.
An even greater issue. An international
Lucky we got it back.
Yeah. High pop to the left side off the bat of Logan Morrison. Pennington just outside the line makes the catch. Morrison is retired. Rays facing Matt Shoemaker tonight. Young man out of Wyandotte, Michigan. Went to Eastern Michigan University in Ypsilanti. Beckham tries to bunt. That's a one-hop penalty. Pennington tries to barehand it. You know, it's interesting. That was a bunt that turned out to be kind of a soft liner. Popped down to third, and Pennington wasn't sure if that ball would kick foul or not, and he tried to barehand it and could not, so that's going to be a hit.
Yeah, you know, he's playing just behind the bag, gets a good read, and then pulls up. Initially, it looked like he was going to try and maybe catch that. Pulls up here. Watch his eyes come off the baseball too soon. Those eyes left the ball a little bit too soon, and he was never able to come up with it. Great shot right here. That head starts to turn before the ball is secured.
One on, one out. Here's Rasmus. Swing and a miss by Colby. Strike one. Rays have their first hit, their first base runner. So technically that will go as a bunt hit for Beckham. He was bunting.
Absolutely was, and just well placed. I mean, Pennington caught in between, kind of like it was at bat.
Yep. Yeah, he's absolutely. It's a good observation there.
And this time was spoken in the King's English.
The gentleman was caught in between.
Well, off air, what I said. I don't know if anybody could wrap their mind around it.
We have people on the crew still trying to dissect that sentence.
One of them left. Second inning.
0-2 count here on Rasmus. And he is out on strikes.
How about that sequence right there from Shoemaker, who's been pretty sharp here early on. First pitch hook, strike one. Fastball, strike two. And then comes that split changeup. Gets him again. Keeps it down in the zone, and then look how it bottoms out.
Well, we've already seen how devastating that pitch can be when he's commanding it out there, and he loves that pitch.
Both of these guys here tonight. Think about Cobb and his arsenal. Obviously, he doesn't use the split changeup nearly like he used to. Shoemaker, that's a big pitch for him, but he's also got the curveball.
Steven Souza Jr.
That's what you'll see. The curveball more against the lefties than the righties.
Over to first, Beckham back in. Souza with just 3 at-bats against Shoemaker. He's 0 for 3. Morrison has as many as anybody. Morrison and Rasmus in the Rays lineup have seen Shoemaker more than anyone else. Rasmus was 6 of 19. Morrison came in 4 of 11 with a home run. A cut and a miss by Souza Jr. It's 1-1.
Get some new hardware here for Souza Jr. A little change of the elbow guard. Remember, he used to have that one that had his name across the band, a little bit softer. This one, the harder plastic, a little thicker.
The 1-1. It's a strike Fastball around the knees, and Maldonado keeping his eye on Beckham at first.
Well, that's what you have to worry about. You know, you want to be able as a base runner to get an aggressive secondary lead, especially with 2 outs. But at the same time, be wary of the catcher throwing behind you. So once that pitch is taken or swung through, you've got to be kind of crisp in getting back to first, or they'll throw behind you.
There goes Beckham. Little ground ball to short, charged by Simmons, and the throw right on the money to retire the Rays. They leave a man. We go to the third. Top of the order coming up for the Angels, which means Mike Trout will be up second. 2-0 Los Angeles. As we go to the third inning, hey, every Wednesday Rays home game for the rest of the season, fans can get half-price lower corner and upper level tickets only through the MLB.com ballpark app. Fans will be able to use their ballpark app to play bingo, presented by 7-Eleven. Come enjoy the Rays and the Angels tomorrow night for half off. Visit RaysBaseball.com. One strike the count on Cameron Maybin. Maybin homered to open this game, his third career leadoff home run, his first for the Angels.
So got a glimpse of his power last night. This one right here was an absolute missile. Line drive deep into left center field. Mike Trout would follow that up with a shot almost the same exact spot.
2-1. Well, Maybin was with the Tigers last year. The Angels got him thinking that he could give them some offense, but initially they got him because he could cover some ground in the outfield. This one is down, and the thinking being if they could put Maybin out there with Mike Trout in center and Calhoun, who's won a Gold Glove, that they'd have some outfielders who could go get the ball. Now the count goes full, 3-2. So here's Maybin leading off. And he's given them some offense here recently. He had a wrist fracture last year that cost him some time, but he's come back from that. And a strike on the outside corner. The fastball against Maybin.
Cameron Maben has done a nice job in that leadoff spot, not expanding his zone. And this fastball here by Alex Cobb, he's going to read that thing off the plate, but it was certainly close enough to be called. Alex buries this thing right to the outside corner, splits Derek Norris, and Joe West says that's enough.
I don't know this to be a fact. Couldn't necessarily count on a lot of what we say up here, but
I love the honesty.
But Joe West, who's working the plate, and he's been around for a while. In fact, I think he umpired his first game in 1976 and joined the crew full time as a National League umpire at that time in 1978. But he's the kind of guy who believes that the game maybe should speed up a little bit. And so he might start to give that corner, move things along a little bit.
Are you maybe inferring that he was not a fan of the 3-2 ball game that took 3 hours and 37 minutes, all the while 12 combined hits?
Yeah, that's not the kind of game he would draw up.
It was pretty impressive. I mean, there was a football game in Baltimore that the Vikings knocked off the Ravens 14-7, and that game got done over 30 hits before the Rays game did. It's a fact. Twins v. Orioles, 14-7.
Wow.
32 hits, I believe, in that range. 30-plus hits, and that game was over before ours. 3-2.
Trout takes a pitch inside. Now it's 3-1.
Yeah, so if there's anything to that, I'm sure that Joe West logged that away and said, yeah, not tonight.
Yep.
And who's going to stop him?
Yeah, you're not going to stop him.
No. He's the one guy that the throwback umpire.
Stop a little humpback liner, and it's caught by Robertson. The Trout is retired. 2 up and 2 down. There was a game, it's been a few years ago. Remember when it seemed, and if you go back 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 years ago, the Yankees and the Red Sox seemed to play games forever. And
there's no seemed about it.
And he, in 2010, somewhere in that neighborhood, was umpiring one of those games and created quite a stir because he made some editorial comments about how long it took to get a 9-inning game in. At that time, with those 2 clubs, he could pick any club now, maybe, to strike the Pujols. But he was outspoken about it and heard from some people, the 2 managers, number one, but also some people from Major League Baseball didn't like it. Joe said, okay, I'll speed it up a little bit. Doesn't have to exactly be on the outside corner. That's Morrison down the right field line. A nice job there by Logan Morrison to retire Albert Pujols. We go to the bottom of the 3rd, 2-0 Angels.
Sports Sun, welcome back to the Trop. Well, his second season in a Rays uniform could not have been going any better for Corey Dickerson. He continues to play at an all-star level, not to mention most of his contributions this season have been right at the heart of the Rays' success. Dickerson leads all DHs on the all-star ballot in about every offensive category. He deserves your all-star vote. Make sure to go to raysbaseball.com/vote and give the all-star game Corey Dickerson. Guys.
All right, Alex, thank you very much. Dickerson started the night leading the league in hitting.
That's a push we got to get on, because this guy is as deserving as anybody out there. I mean, what he's done for the Rays offense, been pretty amazing.
Eric Norris leading off the bottom of the third, fouls it away. Yeah, it's been a great start, and what Alex just said is absolutely right. You look at all those categories across the board and stack them up against the other DHs in the league, and he's right there at the top.
Without a doubt. I mean, Dwayne, it's May, whatever, 23rd, 22nd. It's deep into May. Regardless, he's yet to have back-to-back games where he went 0 for.
Yep.
I mean, the consistency. You know, first of all, he hasn't gone 0 for very much, but he's not going 0 for in back-to-back games all season long, and the approach has been phenomenal. The power. People wondered in spring training, will that suffer?
Yep.
Man, that bat has been quick. It's been lively. He makes you defend foul line to foul line.
Here's a guy who lost 20-25 pounds. He's quicker and stronger, maybe. No doubt he's quicker,
yeah,
and I think stronger.
Well, yeah, because of that quickness.
Yep.
I think the way that, and he swings, he doesn't swing like a leadoff hitter, number one. He swings like he means it. Then he's got a pretty good, actually pretty good, he's got a very good two-strike approach, which allows him to extend at bats and, you know, get base hits, keep innings alive.
Well, the crew took a survey, and some of his top competitors would include Nelson Cruz.
Okay. But he's also in the middle of the order. Corey Dickerson is driving those runs in out of the leadoff spot, mainly himself.
You look at the slugging percentage.
Yeah, everything but the runs batted in, and that all has to do with placement in order.
2-2 count on Norris. He's 3 out of 5 against Shoemaker in his career.
And meanwhile, we're a long way off. We're talking mid-July, but something to talk about. Been
No
fun
question.
to watch.
Yeah, he has been absolutely fun to watch. Here's another guy, Robertson, on deck, getting a little chance to play now with Miller out. He's been a nice development here for the Rays.
He has, with the versatility, the look about him. You know, he's one of those guys. He's a baseball player.
Yep.
You know, good feel for the game.
And Norris draws leadoff walk. Robertson will be coming to the plate.
Well, you hope to make that hurt. Shoemaker's been very sharp here in the first couple of innings. A leadoff walk to the 8-hole, and Rays, you have an opportunity here to put some things together. Corey Dickerson in the on-deck circle, and your boy Daniel Robertson here at the plate.
And Dickerson on deck. So let's see if the Rays can build an inning here and get in to Dickerson and Kiermaier and Longoria with men on base. Robertson lifts the fly ball into right. After the first pitch fastball, Calhoun takes care of that. So with Norris in at first, 1 out, and we swing back around to the top of the order. Corey Dickerson. That strikeout in the first came on a Shoemaker changeup. Pitch wide. Curveball stayed out there. One and one. Shoemaker originally signed, he was not drafted, he was signed as an amateur player by the Angels in 2008. Started his climb through the minor leagues. It's a high pop foul coming straight back and into the deck just above. Makes the count to 1-2.
Well, this is where you start to think about that split again from Shoemaker. He was able to strike him out on that pitch in the first at bat. You know that Dickerson is aware of that. Will be ready to defend against that.
It's a great spot up there and a souvenir on that foul ball right
up above
there.
us.
Yep.
Wow. I like our spot here, so a little bit higher wouldn't be real bad either.
And just a little piece of that one. And
did you see though how he changed his swing? That's not the normal Corey Dickerson swing, you know, 2 strikes, but he has a tough pitch that's borderline, and he's just going to try to do a little bit to try to get a piece of this. And look how he just extends it and just able to foul it off. That's what I'm talking about. Knowing that pitch is a possibility and you're able to defend against it, and now you hope to get Shoemaker to make a mistake up in the zone that you can drive.
chopper right to the bag at second. Out there in the throw to first. They get the double play. So he hit it right to second base. 2-0 Angels. Fox Sports Sun brought to you by your Southern Chevy dealers. By Jeep, get great deals at the Jeep Spring Clearance event. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. On to the fourth we go. Rays and the Angels. Alex Cobb touched for a couple of home runs to start this game. Also a double in that first inning. He's retired 7 in a row since then. And the Rays have picked up just a bunt single through 3 off Matt Shoemaker. So it's Luis Valbuena to lead it off. And the first pitch to him is in there. A strike, breaking pitch. Rays overload the right side with the shift on for Valbuena. And he hits it through the left side to the right of Beckham and into center field. It's been a tough stretch for Valbuena recently. 0 for 3 last night. Got a base hit now.
Yep, he was able to get a curveball, pretty good swing on it, and had a huge open hole there. Left side up the middle, as they had everybody pulled around. You're right. It has been a tough stretch for Valbuena, and you talk to some of the people with the Angels, and they said it's been a timing issue. The timing of the swing just has not been there. That's why last night was such a tough matchup for him and Jake Odorizzi, because he can take when a guy has good timing.
That ball is just fair off the bat of Simmons, down beyond the bullpen. Extra bases. Valbuena's going to go to third. A double for Simmons. And now big trouble here in the 4th. Boy, he just did keep that ball fair and get it by the Rays first baseman Logan Morrison.
Now, first at bat, he pulls with authority to left center, and here he stays inside this pitch, and that's when he really shows you that he is locked in at the plate. And how he got that by Morrison, he's holding Valbuena on, so he is barely off the line, and Simmons sneaks it by him down off the low wall, and boy, instant trouble. And you're going to intentionally walk here Calhoun. Bases juice, nobody.
You know, that approach by Simmons, people talk about him being a better hitter. You know, he was a shortstop, and that was it.
Yes.
His offense was almost non-existent. This is one of the reasons he's a much better hitter now.
Yeah, and you see, look at where Logan Morrison is, how close he is. You're right. I mean, he is just off the bag, and that is snuck right by him. You know, we saw him last night do his Derek Jeter impression. Inside out the ball to right field, even the bat flip away.
Yep.
Plays the same position, wears the same number. Obviously, there's something to that, and he's taken that approach and trying to do some damage with it.
Martin Maldonado up here, 1 strike the count. Breaking ball, and that just missed. 1-1. Valbuena's at third, Simmons at second, Calhoun at first on the intentional walk. And that's inside. 2-0.
You love
2-1.
You would love to get a ground ball here. That's what you need. Alex Cobb, savvy enough of a veteran, pitches down in the zone very well. He can certainly do that for you, but you need one.
And he takes a strike right there. And now Maldonado's talking with Wes. He got a call earlier on a pitch that appeared to be on the corner.
Yep.
That one right on the corner. And he's thinking, well, maybe I could talk that into a pitch out of the zone, but it's 2-2.
Well, and now you're thinking the ground ball or not punch out. You put yourself in position. Curveball, if it's in the dirt, no, they're going to keep pounding them in. There's the
back to the hill. Norris at the plate for 1. Morrison at first for 2. That's a 1-2-3 double play. Just what Cobb was looking for. So that eases things a little bit. Still a couple of men in scoring position, but boy, this a big double play.
Well, and then they sent the message early to Maldonado. We're going to pound you in with the fastball. No adjustment was made, and that ball was handcuffed right back to Alex Cobb, and it made that 1-2-3 turn pretty easy.
So 2 outs with men at second and third. Here is Danny Espinosa. Cobb used the curveball to strike him out in the second inning.
Boy, this could be a huge momentum swing in this game. You know, the Angels already up 2-0. The Rays offense has not gotten untracked yet, and the Angels had bases loaded, nobody out. A chance to put the game away here early, or at least.
That's inside.
Put a close to away. And you get that kind of sequence by Cobb, you can finish this inning off in style and should give a jolt to your dugout.
Ground ball, right side, fair. Morrison steps on the bag. Great job by Cobb to get out of that tough spot. Still 2-0 Angels. Our Geico great moment on this day in 2014. Rays win their second straight in walk-off fashion. It's Cole Figueroa doubling home the winning run in a Rays 1-0 victory over the Boston Red Sox. And that was quite a moment for Cole Figueroa. And since that moment has worked for the Rays as an assistant in baseball research and development. Big night then. And here is Kevin Kiermaier. Shortens on the bat and takes the breaking ball over for a strike.
That curveball seemingly was never going to get to home plate, just kind of floated in there, and that's what Shoemaker will do. You know, we'll see Jake Odorizzi do that. You see Cobb do that. That curveball early in an at bat, a lot of times first pitch to get ahead. Hey.
Away there and then some.
Shooting for the bull.
1-1. Close take, and it's 2 balls and a strike. Evan Longoria on deck, and then Logan Morrison, second time through here for the Rays against Shoemaker tonight. Pitch foul back. Stayed up a bit.
It did, and you know what? That ball looked to be off the plate. That could have very easily been 3-1, and now gets it back to 2-2. Now you start to think about the split. Shoemaker's got a couple different ways to go here. See what he decides to do, and they're going to try to crowd with the heat. Oh.
And strike 3 called on the corner.
Well, I tell you, look at the first 4 pitches to Kiermaier. Away, up and away. You get a guy looking out over the plate, especially with 2 strikes, and you pop this in there. Boy, that's pitching. And you just freeze the hitter. That's those pitches, Dwayne, that I would tell you that you know as the ball left your hand, as soon as it came off your fingertips, that it was a strikeout looking. You knew it. All you had to do was execute it because you had him so conscious looking out over the plate. You knew you could close him in. It was just a matter of making sure it was a strike.
Evan Longoria takes it too low.
I recall doing that 3 or 4 times. It was a wonderful feeling.
Going to carry that with you.
Well, that's why I remember it. I can talk about it.
It's a 2-ball, no strike count.
This coffee I have tonight is really good.
I can
That's
tell.
all I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm seeing this game clearer and clearer as it moves along.
Foul right back. Out of play. And it's now 2-1. Evan 0 for 1 tonight. 1 of 7 against Shoemaker in his career with Logan Morrison on deck. High fly ball toward right center. Calhoun makes the catch, the right fielder. 2 gone. So with the bases empty, Logan Morrison heads to the plate. Rays have had 2 base runners, Beckham with the bunt single in the second and Norris with the leadoff walk in the third. So far, the Rays have not been able to generate much against Shoemaker.
He's done a good job, Dwayne, of mixing pitches. There's been a couple of fastballs that he's left out over the plate that the Rays just haven't capitalized on, but he's done a nice job of moving the ball in and out and back and forth, up and down. All the different planes that you need to pitch in to be successful if you're not an overpowering type guy.
Reiner the other way. Maben will go back on the track, reaching up to make the catch. 3 up, 3 down, go the Rays. 2-0 Angels. We go to the 5th inning, and here's what's coming up tomorrow on Rays Live, the pregame show presented by Your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Erasmo Ramirez will be on the hill for the Rays. We'll hear from him since going into the rotation. And Orestes will, among other things, break down Albert Pujols in the middle of this Angels lineup.
And holding court in the stands right now.
First pitch to Cliff Pennington is a strike. Drawing a crowd down there.
Drawing a
And
crowd.
Boy, were they listening.
Don't you wish? Don't you wish?
Yes.
A little fly on the wall. Or the netting even.
He's down there with Cookie Rojas. Now, there's a guy. Cookie's doing some talking now because you can learn a lot from him.
A lot of knowledge being spread.
One and two to Pennington. He's shortened on the bat there, taking a pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Missed in with that one. Fastball, and it's a full count.
Close.
He got him. Cut the miss. So the leadoff hitter here in the 5th inning is out.
Trying to come in, and this ball ends up actually middle. And Alex Cobb, it's funny that the swing through, and Alex had that look like maybe you got away with one there. You're trying to throw a strike. Do not want to walk the 9-hole hitter to start off an inning, make him earn it. And Pennington is saying, wow, because there was your pitch to hit. Didn't happen.
First pitch to Maben is a strike call. Maben is homered and struck out. A little bit of that one. Break to that pitch. 0-2. This one is down. The Rays trailing by a couple. Two and two. Cobb starting his 3rd time through the lineup here with Maben. It's a fly ball toward right center. Kiermaier is going to be there. 2 gone. Strikeout and a fly ball. Base is empty with 2 gone for Mike Trout. Trout connected in the 1st, his 15th home run of the year.
And that pitch just out over the plate, eerily similar to Cameron Maben's home run in the wing. We got some numbers back. How about this? Those balls look to be coming off the bat. Same type trajectory, same spot up in the stands, relatively the same speed. Mike Trout's home run, the exit velocity 108 miles an hour. 21-degree launch angle, went 416 feet. Cameron Maben, 105 miles per hour off the bat, a little slower. Launch angle 22, a degree higher, 416 feet. How about that?
Tie ball game.
Yeah, I mean,
slightly different ways to get there. Same spot.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, they looked like that. That's where the metrics that we were given, the eye test,
coincides with all that.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's when it works.
Coming around. It's now 2-1.
Playing in a static atmosphere here.
Mm-hmm.
There's no wind to account for.
Yep. It's really true readings here.
Oh, legit. Well, most of them. Still think the one that almost took down the 2011 wild card wasn't given enough credit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I still can't get over that shot. I mean, think about that.
Mm-hmm. It was still going.
I mean,
there was a little baseball dent.
Yeah.
In the pennant up there.
Yeah. Huh. What a blast.
Cut. The count is full on Trout. Trout came in leading the major leagues in on-base percentage, leading the American League in slugging percentage, second in the league in hitting, and he's tied now with 15 home runs, tied with Aaron Judge for the lead in that department. A 3-2 pitch on its way. He got it. He went up with him. Fastball. A 1-2-3 inning. A couple of strikeouts, including the strikeout of Trout to end it. On the fastball elevated. It's 2-0 Los Angeles. Braves bottom of the fifth. A reminder, fans, if you can't catch the games on TV, you can stream them live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go. Download the app and take Fox Sports Sun and Rays baseball with you wherever you may go. Tim Beckham will open the home half of the fifth. First pitch is a strike. Beckham with the only hit so far. That was that soft little line drive bunt down to third. cut right there. 0-2.
A nice little movement on that little two-seam fastball by Shoemaker. Had some finish that snuck it under the swing of Beckham, and now in complete command of this at-bat. Well, he's been sharp with everything here tonight for the most part. Curveball's been good early, a few sliders, but the fastball command, the changeup, the split right there, been very good.
Boy, that's a tough pitch right there.
It's violent at the end, really violent when he throws it and gets good finish out in front. Boy, it's in the zone and then out of the zone. You see the grip, now watch it, just gone. I mean, it gets down there in a hurry. When it's dropping like that in slow motion, you know that, boy, in real time, that thing is off the table.
Yeah, it'd be tough to hit that in slow motion. So then you speed it up a little bit, even tougher. I mean, my goodness.
He's been locked in. The Rays, they need a mistake or two, and they need to capitalize.
Rasmus takes a swing, fouls that fastball up, fouls it away. Well, he got ahead of Rasmus, 2 strikes, and used that split to strike him out in the second inning. Two, 4 strikeouts, 3 have come on that pitch.
There was strike 2 on that pitch. We've seen that version where he keeps it in the strike zone, and then the one that he wants to punch you out on is the one that has that finish at the end. See if he goes to it here. He does.
And that's the same result.
I'll tell you, he is some kind of locked in right now. My goodness.
5 strikeouts tonight for Shoemaker. He had 9 in his last outing against the White Sox.
There it is once again. 2 different versions of that pitch we've seen. Both of them very effective.
Two up, 2 down. Here's Steven Souza Jr. And he misses the first pitch.
He just continues to mix, you know, that we've seen the fastball, the split, you know, there's the first pitch slider. Just giving these hitters a lot to think about, a lot to digest.
Now fastball, and that's on the corner.
You know, and that's the thing. There really hasn't been any weak links. Everything has been sharp for the most part. I mean, he's not infallible, but he's not making many mistakes, and all 4 of his pitches have been good.
I mean, this inning, pretty good example so far. If you could pick a sequence of 6, 7, 8 pitches, just this inning, you could do it and go, this is why he's been so good tonight.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, use it as a teaching tool.
Just foul outside of third. Shoemaker, 30 years old. Close there. 1-2.
Boy, that pitch not far off the plate, but you saw how it stood Souza Jr. up. That's a guy that's heading out over the plate, trying to make sure that he covers the outside corners. He's kind of close there anyway, and as he starts to dive, that pitch pushes him right back. I don't think he was a big fan of that pitch either.
And then Shoemaker tries to take it right outside there. And a little off the plate, no chase, 2-2. Bit of that one, and it's fouled. So the count holds at 2-2. Alex Cobb with 5 innings under his belt. 2 outs in the 5th for Shoemaker. This one stays in. There's a breaking ball that stayed up there. Full count.
After being really sharp there, the first 2 pitches of this at bat, things have come a little bit unhinged. Some misses here by Shoemaker. Maybe Souza Jr. can work a walk and a base hit here, anything. Get the Rays moving in the right direction.
Derek Norris is on deck. Foul ball tapped to the third base side. Well, this has been an extended at bat. Next pitch will be the 10th. That's more pitches than he made in the first inning. He got through the first on 9 pitches. And he does draw the walk, Souza Jr. A lengthy at bat. And the second walk allowed by Shoemaker.
Number 33, Derek Norris.
And Derek Norris will be the hitter after he walked in the 3rd. A little success in his history against Shoemaker, 3 for 5, and now with that walk tonight. There's a pitch missing.
Now this is your opening right here. And I know it comes with 2 outs, but after the opening 2 strikes to Souza Jr. looked like it was going to be a real quick inning. Not so much. Souza battled him, worked the walk. First pitch miss here to Derek Norris.
Two and 0. Well, you know, this is a perfect example of why you don't give in to a pitcher, even though he has been as sharp as Shoemaker. You keep battling, and that's what Souza did. Souza Jr. had a 10-pitch at bat.
Yeah.
To draw a walk, and now Norris is up in the count. You never know what could happen.
No, and a little bit of doubt. I mean, Shoemaker for the first time here tonight. I know there's nobody in scoring position, but he's being challenged a little bit because the command and the sharpness is not quite there right now. And now you're begging for a way to get out of this inning. Used to have guys yell from the bench, "You had your chance." Get your guy at the plate. All the time. I used to laugh too. It's good.
2 balls, no strikes. Ground ball 3rd. Pennington comes up with it, takes it to Espinosa for the force at 2nd. We're going to go into the 6th. 2-0 Angels. pitch lately, and they're involved in a 2-0 game tonight. Home run to lead it off by Cameron Maybin, and on the very next pitch, Mike Trout gets his 15th home run of the year. That made it 2-0, and it has remained that way. Matt Shoemaker has been very tough, limiting the Rays to just a bunt hit in the second, picking up 5 strikeouts along the way.
Man, he's been very sharp all night long, outside of a handful of pitches in that bat to Souza Jr. in the first couple of pitches to Derek Norris. He has been on his game. And I'll tell you, Alex Cobb, after that first inning, he was in trouble. Bases loaded, nobody out in the 4th. Made big pitches in that spot, kept this deficit at just 2, and that's where we stand.
First pitch to Albert Pujols is in there, a strike. 67th pitch of the game by Alex Cobb. Shoemaker through 5 has made 63. Down to short. Beckham makes that play. So that is out number 1 here in the 6th.
Well, it's time for the big story, Dwayne, and that is the work of Urban Santana up in, well, it's in Baltimore. There's a base hit. The Twins able to drive in a run there with the infield pulled in. And right now, Urban Santana making that a hold up as he continues to deal. Rays are going to see him. He lines up for the Rays to be able to see what he's been up to, but his pitching numbers this season off the charts as the Twins last night 14-7. So of course tonight 1-0.
Yeah, that'll be a part of the Rays' big road trip. Buena fouls the first pitch off. Strike the count to the Angels' first baseman. Two. Buena opening the 4th with a base hit, and that led to eventually the bases being loaded with nobody out, and Cobb got out of that. Got a double play and a ground ball. 1 out here in the 6th. An 0-2 pitch. Luis Valbuena. And he is called out on strikes. Curveball. 2 up, 2 down.
With the reaction of Luis Valbuena tells the story. This is that hook, just freezes him, and he doesn't even wait for the call. The head nod, and he heads right to the dugout.
That's just an unbelievable pitch.
And it is, and the way that he's been able to make that his go-to off-speed pitch. I still haven't seen a changeup. I'm not saying he didn't throw one.
I don't think I've seen it either, and we've been looking for it.
Yes, I have not seen one, but the fact that he's been able to take that curveball and make it the primary off-speed pitch, it's pretty awesome to watch him do this thing on the fly as the season moves along. And he throws the spike curve, so he really gets good spin on that pitch and can get it up and down quickly, and he's been locating it. That's the thing. He's been throwing the ones over the plate that he wants for called strikes, taking it out of the zone, backdooring it, both sides of the plate.
It's 2-1 to Simmons.
You wonder, these lineups know that he's had a pretty good split changeup, maybe not using it as much as he has in the past. And at what point during a game do the Angels say, hey, take that pitch out of the book? He's got 2. He's got 2. Let's attack on 2. Maybe they've already done it, maybe not.
Now it's 3 balls and a strike. Well, you referenced the command he has of the breaking ball.
Yeah.
In and out of the zone, locate with that pitch. That's pretty special.
Oh, he's a fighter. I mean, he's a guy that can't stand to not be successful, can't stand to not pitch deep into games. So he's going to do whatever it takes, to make that happen. And it was a little bit of a challenge earlier in the season as he was making that transition from changeup to curveball as the primary off speed. But boy, since he's kind of locked it in on that and felt more and more comfortable, he's been able to have that success and get deep into games.
And in that way, he's a bit of a throwback to another era.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. He's fun to watch because he pitches.
We were talking last night about the young infielder Nolan Fontana the Angels called up, and his grandfather was Lou Burdett. Burdett's advice to young pitchers and to his grandson, he said, if you want to be the best pitcher on the team, throw strikes. It's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, really, that sets the, especially if they're quality. If you can move it around the zone.
Yep.
That's the thing.
And that's what we see with Cobb.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of a throwback to, Burdett, as we talked last night. He was the MVP in the 1957 World Series for the Milwaukee Braves, and a tough guy, and he would win. He'd win 2-1, 1-0, 10-9, one of those things. He'd compete all day long. And that's how Cobb is. He's a great competitor.
I still can't get out of the his record in number of starts. 158 CGs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a guy who doesn't take too kindly to coming out of a ball game.
You used to hear those stories about the pitcher ready to fight the manager if he came to take him out. Haven't seen that lately. Upstairs, 2-0. Two outs, a runner at first, Simmons. Calhoun 0 for 1 with the intentional walk in the fourth. That turned out to be an important move in this game. Cobb got the 1-2-3 double play next. Popped up. That's going to be out of play, back and foul. So it's 2-1. Now 3-1. Calhoun laying off. Cobb went 7 in his last outing. Came away with a 7-4 win. He's down 2-0 in the 6th inning tonight. High fly ball left field side. Rasmus into foul territory. Makes the catch, retiring the Angels in the 6th. Rays coming in down 2-0. In the bottom of the 6th inning, tried to get a little something going in the 5th, but really not much at all against his right-hander. Book your group now for any game during the 2017 season and pick up an additional group outing to a future game on the Rays. Groups of 20 or more can choose from exclusive party areas to suites to general seating. So be a part of the action by emailing group sales at raysbaseball.com. Raise up. Well, that's a great deal. And the Rays will have Daniel Robertson to lead off the bottom of the 6th, then back around to the top of the order. Corey Dickerson and Kevin Kiermaier against Matt Shoemaker. Pitch inside.
Let's see in this inning if Shoemaker's able to get back to being really spot on with the command of all of his pitches, or it still starts to waver, and maybe the Rays can put something together here a little earlier in the inning. 2 misses already.
Robertson lays off a couple pitches up out of the zone. Well, 7 runs in this series so far. 2 more games to go tomorrow night and then on Thursday. 3 balls, no strikes. So he's up again.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we saw this start to unravel a little bit after the first 2 strikes to Souza Jr. And he was able to get Derek Norris. That ball was hit hard, though, sharply to third base. That was after falling behind him after the walk to Souza Jr. And the first 3 have missed here.
Robertson takes a strike, and that was just at the top of the zone.
But that's the mandatory. They should treat that pitch like the intentional walk.
Yeah,
just give him a strike, and we'll go start 3-1.
3-1, high fly ball lifted into center. Trout is there and makes the catch. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow for the Wednesday Showdown, driven by GMC. Erasmo Ramirez will make the start for the Rays against Ricky Nolasco. Coverage begins at 6:30. Back around to the top of the order. Here's Corey Dickerson stepping in for the 3rd time and looking for his first hit. Takes a strike. One and one. Those 7 runs scored so far in this series, 5 have been scored in the 1st inning. The Angels got a 1st inning run last night, then Dickerson and Morrison homered in the Rays first. Tonight, Maben and Trout homered for the Angels. That'll be a strike on the corner. It's 1-2. Shoemaker has worked over the corners and the edges of the zone.
Starting to find him again here.
Ground ball by the mound. Simmons there to make the pickup on the first base side of second. So 2 outs now in the 6th. Well, if you hit the ball to Simmons, he's going to catch it.
He is as smooth and as automatic as we've seen this season. We said last night it was going to be a pleasure to get to watch him play for the next 4 games. I'm already tired of it.
Yeah, enough of that.
Yeah,
make an error, would you?
Something.
Yeah, you know, you got Trout and Simmons on this team. They are fun to watch. If they're not beating you, then it's a little frustrating. First pitch, Kiermaier lifts a high popper on the right side, right near the bag, fair at first, and Valbuena takes care of that. 3 up, 3 down. We go to the 7th, 2-0 Los Angeles. Rays baseball on Fox Sports Sun, brought to you by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. By Jeep, get great deals at the Jeep Spring Clearance Event. And by Pinch a Penny, the perfect people for a perfect pool. Just over 80 pitches for Alex Cobb through the front 6. He's out there to begin the 7th. 81 pitches, 5 strikeouts, and 2 bases on balls. 2 runs to the first 2 hitters, Maben and Trout, who homered. That's it. And so Maldonado, Espinosa, and Pennington, the 7, 8, and 9 hitters, due up in the 7th.
Done a great job of recovering, and the trouble that we talked about that he had in the 4th, getting out of that with style. And he just continues to really keep this, you know, Angel lineup off balance with 2 pitches. It speaks to the command that he's had with those pitches, and also just one step ahead.
Behind Maldonado, 2-0.
I'll tell you something else he's done, Dwayne, here tonight, especially against these right-handed hitters. A ton of fastballs in, and that's not the norm. That is not the norm, but he has been able to dot that pitch up and keep these guys from getting extended. And there you go. There's a 2-0 fastball in, going to be the first out.
Pops it up. Morrison in from first. Yeah, he buried that pitch in on it, 2-0.
Yeah, Dwayne, you're right. He has been absolutely flawless with that pitch. Inner third. This is how it's going to start. That fastball. This is out over the plate. Maben, same thing with Mike Trout. Eerily similar. And then he would go to work. Fastball away there. Good curveball. Bases loaded, nobody out. Stayed in on Maldonado that entire at-bat before he was able to coax the ground ball double play. Got through Pennington. He just continues to impress. That was a nice pitch there to Mike Trout, too. The 2-strike fastball up in the zone where he will chase.
Here's Espinosa. He takes a strike. Espinosa, switch hitting infielder. He is struck out and grounded out to first. Oh, 2.
Change up. There it is.
There was a sighting.
There was. I mean, there may have been more. Like I said, I'm not saying but I know this one was. There you go.
It's 2-2.
He's falling in love with it now.
Just trying to get the feel for it.
In the 7th. I can't argue with his body of work up to this point, so he can pretty much do what he wants. He's been really good with the game plan here.
Up and away, and it's 3-2. Well, you could say he was looking for a spot to try to get that in the mix.
He's retired Espinosa twice on curveballs. And so after Espinosa took a big swing on the 2-strike, the second strike, then here you saw the changeup.
Ground ball down to first. Morrison takes care of that. 2 outs in the 7th. MLB.com at bat. Your #1 mobile app for live Rays baseball. Stay connected with a fully customizable experience. Get Rays home screen icons and app features, as well as game day, live game video highlights, StatCast, and more. Download MLB.com at bat today. Two outs, bases empty. Cliff Pennington, the third baseman. Pitch is upstairs. Strike is 1-1. Pennington originally with Oakland. Had a run with the A's, then Arizona and Toronto. Angels last year and back with them this year. Two and one. Lined into center. That's going to drop for a base hit. Kiermaier cuts it off going to his right. So a 2-out single for Pennington. Hit number 6 surrendered by Cobb. He'll face the top of the order now, Cameron Maybin. Maybin 1 out of 3 with a home run, a strikeout, and a fly ball. Oh, and they're going to pick Pennington off. Caught him in a rundown now. Cobb's there to tag him out. So Cobb catches Pennington moving the wrong way to end the top half of the 7th. 2-0 Angels. is Matt Shoemaker, who has been very sharp tonight with the exception of a couple hitters.
I mean, a few pitches in that sequence, but outside of that, Dwayne, he's been very good with the fastball, moving it to both sides of the plate. That splitter has been outstanding. We've seen two different versions of that pitch, slider, curveball, that he's complementing all of that with. And, well, so far, one hit. It was a bunt base hit by Tim Beckham. A couple of walks, okay, but nothing on the scoreboard, and he preserves right now for the Angels a 2-0 lead.
Rays will have Longoria, Morrison, and Beckham due up here with just that one hit and a couple of walks. Evan 0 for 2 against him. A ground ball to second, fly ball to right. The first pitch is upstairs with a fastball. Pitch is wide. 2-0. Pitch. Popped up, foul. That's going to carry out a play. Longoria swinging at that 2-0 fastball and fouls it. It's fouled outside of third, down toward the bullpen.
It's a smart move right there. A very smart move.
Making fans.
Yeah, well, you got to make the right ones, Dwayne.
Little tap by the mound, headed to short. Scooped by Simmons, and his throw to first. Perfect. He does everything perfectly out there at shortstop.
Boy, he had to get on his horse, too, because Evan Longoria can get up the line. He can get up the line, and he's smelling infield hit here on that chopper. You can see him out of the box. Look at Simmons close. And boy, he got rid of that baseball right here lightning quick. Plenty of time.
Look how smooth that is. That's not an easy play. You couldn't prove it by that.
It's as smooth as decadent chocolate.
Here's Logan Morrison. Pitch outside. 1-0 the count. And 2-0. There's a liner headed toward the corner and right. Morrison will get an extra base on this one. On his way to second. Calhoun's throw back to the infield, and the Rays have a man at second base. And that's big news tonight against Matt Shoemaker.
Sure is. Hey, there have not been many mistakes made by the Angels starter. But Logan Morrison able to capitalize here, gives the Rays an immediate threat. Fastball, and that one stayed middle around the belt. There you go. Here's maybe the door opens a little bit.
First time the Rays have had a man as far as second base. One on with one out for Tim Beckham. Beckham with a bunt single and a strikeout. Pitch is down, blocked by Maldonado. First scoring opportunity in this game. Seats. 1-1. So the Rays, for the first time in this game, have a man in scoring position. They only had 2 in scoring position last night in the 3-2 loss. The Angels won that game last night, going 0 for 9 with men in scoring position. They're 0 for 3 tonight, so they're 0 for 12 in the series with men in scoring position. Won last night and are leading by 2 tonight in the 7th. So no one has had a hit with a man in scoring position yet in this series.
There you go. Time for one.
That's a foul ball grabbed immediately by Maldonado. So it's now 1-2. A couple of walks and a couple hits for the Rays. That's it so far. Check on the pitch down. Finally an ask down there to Hunter Wendelstedt at first, and he says no. And he did check. Conference on the hill now. The Rays putting up a bit of a threat here on the 1-out double. The 10th start of the year for Shoemaker. He came in with 50 in a third innings. Two. Fouled straight back and headed this way, in and out of our camera booth over here. Well, just in between Jimmy, our high home cameraman, and our esteemed statistician Rick Odioso. They were going to have to fight each other for whose territory that was in.
Yeah, right over in here. What a group.
But it's our group and we love it. Full count. All the equipment good over there. Computers good. Cameras are good. Personnel good. We knew the personnel was good. So the count is full here to Beckham. Man in scoring position, Rays down by 2. Beckham waiting for the pitch from Shoemaker. And that ball well outside. Picked out by Maldonado. So a walk puts men at first and second.
Well, Dwayne, tonight's Unlimited Baseball Break is brought to you by T-Mobile, and that's the job that Urban Santana is doing, not only tonight, but all season long. Minnesota maintains a 2-0 lead. Santana just continues to pick up outs. You can see him right here in complete control, soft fly balls, strikeout through 7 innings. Another 7 shutout. How about this? This is his fourth road start of the year as you look at his line right now. The ERA at the bottom, but on the road, 4th start, he's given up 1 earned run in 27 innings. Wow. Yeah. Yep. I mean, he has been some kind of on fire for the Twins, who as a team have been surprising this year.
Yeah, they've had a great start, and you know what's surprising about them? They've done all their good work on the road. They're actually under 500 at home.
Wow. Wow.
I think they're 11-13 at home, and they went all the time on the road. Well, here's Kobe Rasmus. 2 men on with 1 out. Rays trying to build an inning. And Shoemaker, after getting a visit on the hill, works to Rasmus. Swing and a high fly ball. Back into deep right. Calhoun to the wall. And that ball is going to fall. He tried to catch it. And the bases are going to be loaded. Boy, he stayed right with that one all the way to the wall. Came close to catching it as that ball wound up in the air again. And let's see exactly if we can determine where that hit.
Yeah, it looked like it was close to that padding the way it kind of bounced up. Here's a curveball, and Rasmus gets out and around it, little down towards the end of the bat, but I thought that ball was going to be gone. I think a lot of people here did. And then this is it. Yeah, right off the top of that padding before you get to the screen. Boom. And that's where it bounces back.
So it goes as a long single. He went right up trying to catch it and then found the ball rebounding out in front of him. That's going to be it for Shoemaker. Back in a moment. Baseball presented by Jeep. Rays putting up a major threat in the bottom of the 7th inning. Matt Shoemaker out of the game. Osmero Petit will follow him to the hill. 6 1/3 for the Angels starter. 89 pitches. Leaves with the bases loaded. Well, the series finally has a hit with a man in scoring position. That long single by Rasmus, but it does not get anybody home. Morrison at third, Beckham at second, Rasmus at first. Petit on to face Steven Souza Jr. And that first pitch is a strike. was started, tried to stop, could not. Petit last year with Washington, 3-5. Pitch is a ball, 1-1. An earned run average of 4.5 with the Nationals. Third, second, and first, Morrison, Beckham, and Rasmus. The 1-1. Strike 2 on that pitch.
That ball looked to be off the plate, and I think that's what Steven Souza Jr. knowing Joe West is back there, not real happy with that call, and that's why. You can understand it. Don't want to be doing any favors for the pitcher here. Already in a tough spot. You're going to give him that far off the plate.
Slow. Maldonado blocks it. 2-2. As we mentioned so often, what a big swing it is on that 1-1 pitch, whether you're 2-1 or 1-2.
Boy, the difference in batting average, on base percentage, all of that is huge.
So Alvarez, the lefty, up in the bullpen. Foul back. Fastball. Just came right down the middle with a fastball, a little bit up. Souza Jr. Good cut. Fouled it. High foul, out of play. Back to first. And that forces another pitch. Morrison doubled with one out. Beckham walked, and then Rasmus hit one off the wall and right. And Calhoun tried to make a play on. That went as a single. And loaded the bases. Just a piece of that one. The breaking ball.
Well, here it is, Dwayne. Got a piece of it. That was a. Whew.
Yeah, you'd love to see another curveball like that.
Ooh, wouldn't you? That hung right out there over the plate for Souza Jr. He'll get another one here. You can see where he's been working him, middle away.
And he strikes him out. So the curveball against Souza this time. 2 gone.
He got him into swing mode, is what he did. You know, Souza Jr. was able to lay off a couple of those pitchers early in the count, but you get him into swing mode with 2 strikes, and all of a sudden he expands his zone on that slider that really was a ball right out of the hand.
And you know, part of that goes back to that 1-1 pitch. That's called a strike. You think, well, I mean, you're in swing mode, and then you calculate that into the at bat. So
it puts you on edge.
Yeah,
and
he took advantage of it.
He sure did.
2 gone, and here is Norris. Which is wide. Norris 0 for 1 with a walk tonight. Good take there. 2-0. Thanks for the fastball. kept it away. A little swing and miss.
Yeah, you know, there's a little cutting action on that pitch. You see him a little bit on the side of the baseball. Just kind of drives it away from him.
The 2-1. He fouls this one. That was a fastball down central.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And Derek Norris would love. You know, that's the pitch. 2-1 count. You get one out over. That's the one you want to do damage on.
Well, here's the deal. The Rays have had in the last 2 at bats a couple pitches to hit.
Yep.
That curveball and now that fastball here to Norris.
Well, this is where he's got a little bit of time here to regroup as Maldonado goes out to talk to Petit.
Rays have loaded the bases. In scoring position for the first time tonight, coming here in the 7th. And a cut and a miss. He strikes him out, and the Rays leave him loaded. We're going to head into the 8th. It's still a 2-0 ball game. Welcome back to Tropicana Field, where the Rays and the Angels have gone through 7. The only runs in this game provided by Cameron Maybin and Mike Trout. Back-to-back home runs to start this game. Rays had a threat for the first time. Scoring opportunity in the 7th, left the bases loaded. And Alex Cobb goes back out on the hill to work to Maybin, Trout, and Pujols in the 8th. First pitch. Breaking ball, and that's in there for a strike.
That was a tough inning for the Rays. You think about the double by Morrison, then you get the walk, and then a ball that you think off the bat is going to be a home run. It's high off the wall.
Fly ball into the left. Rasmus there to make the catch.
And you get nothing.
Yeah.
You get nothing.
But the one thing that you wanted to stay away from, bases loaded, 1 out in the 7th, was the strikeout. And that's exactly what Petit got. The strikeout of Souza and Norris.
Without being overpowering. That fastball, I think it topped out at 91 maybe. You know, not an overpowering guy, but he was able to pick up a couple of strikeouts. And let's be honest, that's what the Rays are prone to do. They lead Major League Baseball, you know, by a wide margin. So that's always the threat. Didn't think Petit was going to be able to get 2 of them, though.
Well, the Rays did have a couple pitches to hit. 1-0 the count on Trout. 1-1. The home run for Trout, his 15th of the year, which puts him into a tie for the American League lead with Aaron Judge. It's 1-2. Well located pitch right there. It's up 2-2. Cobb trying to hold the Angels here and give the Rays a shot in the 8th. They have 2 shots left if they need them both. 100 pitches for Cobb. It's 3-2. Albert Pujols on deck. And he walks Trout. A 1-out walk here. Breaking ball missed. 1 on, 1 out. Albert Pujols is the hitter. The Rays have had Farquhar up in the bullpen. Cut the miss. Over to first and back in is Trout. Five strikeouts tonight for Cobb. 3 walks, 2 runs on the solo home runs. 6 hits allowed. And again to first.
Well, you better keep your eye out. Mike Trout, one of the guys in this Angel lineup that will run. And Cameron Maben and Mike Trout lead the way on this team.
Yeah, they have 19 between the 2 of them.
Yep.
19 of the 32.
But Alex Cobb has a tremendous pickoff move for a righty.
Base hit that's going to go through the hole on the left side. Down to second goes Trout. Pujols is on for the first time. 2 on with 1 out. And Luis Valbuena will be the hitter. Kevin Cash is coming out of the dugout. Here's the base hit for Pujols. So pitching change now for the Rays, and we'll be right back.
Alex Cobb as he trails in this ball game in the Rays 2-0. I'll tell you what, listen, the game didn't start out very well for Alex, as you see right here. Cameron Maybin is going to get him to lead off the game. One pitch later, Mike Trout is going to pile on after that. But Alex Cobb would settle down, pitch out of some trouble in the 4th inning, had a bases loaded, nobody out jam, got this double play to start it, and able to sneak out of that, and then went right back to work and kept his team in the game all night long. And now is going to give way to Danny Farquhar as he comes out after 7 1/3 impressive innings, just 2 earned runs so far, is responsible for the men on base at 1st and 2nd, but another deep, good outing for Alex Cobb.
Valbuena, after the 2nd pitch of this at bat, lifts it foul deep down the left side, but well out of play.
With a first baseman's mitt. Angel fans.
Came a long way to make that catch. Covered a lot of ground.
Tremendous range.
Coast to coast. One and two. Valbuena's up here. Lifetime 3 for 5 against Farquhar with 2 home runs. And we've chronicled how he has struggled at the outset.
And you start to think about a guy with timing issues, and Farquhar with the changeup.
And a base hit into center. Trout's going to score. Pujols stops at 2nd, and Valbuena comes through with a base hit to make it 3-0.
Dwayne, he cut down on his swing there with 2 strikes and just tried to put the barrel on the baseball. Just kind of a sweeping swing. Didn't overswing. Right here, he got another changeup, but he just goes out, and look how he just goes and gets it. I mean, just kind of sweeps it out there and finds a hole up the middle. That was a nice adjustment made by Valbuena on a pitch. Really wasn't a bad pitch by Farquhar. Maybe he wanted to get it closer to the dirt, but that ball's off the plate down and away, and Valbuena got to it.
Simmons takes a fastball for strike 1. Trout, who scored, has scored 2 runs. Home run in the 1st and a walk and a run scored in the 8th inning. Simmons with a foul ball behind in the count. An 0-2 count. Little tap. That's going to be a foul ball. Stayed fair for a beat or 2 and back foul. Norris made contact. So it's still a 2-strike count to Simmons. Well, the Rays are going to have to shake their offense here. Farquhar trying to hold the Angels to 3 runs. Simmons, a ground ball headed toward the middle into center. Pujols will not score. Kiermaier got there in a hurry, and the bases are loaded.
I'll tell you what. Listen, Albert Pujols, great career, tremendous player, but what a liability at this point on the base pass. He should have been on 3rd on the last base hit, just not moving very well. Here's a ground ball up the middle. You know you got to go. You can see the start by Albert off of 2nd base. He was not going to be able to score. I mean, truly a station-to-station guy. And battling, he had the hamstring issue too, and they certainly don't want to push that. So he really is. I mean, 90 feet at a time is all you're going to get from Albert at this point.
He came back from foot surgery last year and the hamstring this year. Now a liner foul up the right side beyond the Rays bullpen off the bat of Cole Calhoun.
Yeah, that's where he has to pull a ball over in the hole like he did. Get down to first base and be like, now what? I got a long way to go before I score. Another 4 base hits and I may have a run scored here.
Yeah, he's had a sore right hamstring. Fly ball to left. Rasmus there to make the catch, tagged by Pujols. The throw will be cut off, and they're going to get a man in a play between second and third. Pujols crossed the plate, and so the Rays will go into the bottom of the 8th here, down 4-0.
Lead it 4-0 before today's game. Catcher Wilson Ramos spoke to the media in the dugout, and he said, I feel confident, I feel strong, and I want to get back behind the plate as soon as possible. It looks like he's on his way to do just that. Ramos took part in catching drills and appears to be making positive steps in his recovery from right knee surgery. The goal now is a rehab assignment around May 28th. So guys, just a few days away.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. It'd be
Yeah, what a bat that would have to add to the lineup.
love his nickname too. The Buffalo.
Yeah,
I mean, right?
Absolutely.
Looks like one.
In a good way.
Yeah. Oh, listen. I think Buffaloes are intimidating.
Yeah,
and mean.
absolutely.
But yeah, I mean that'd be great to get him out and on a rehab assignment, get him back up here. You see, like you said, get that bat back in the lineup, see how much catching he's able to do.
And Robertson is out on strikes here to start the 8th inning. A breaking ball strikes him out. So Petit with 3 straight strikeouts. And we're going to get the pitching change with Mike Scioscia coming out. He wants the left-hander to face Dickerson. Shannon Sharp go head-to-head on the day's hottest sports topics. Undisputed with Skip and Shannon. Weekdays from 9:30 a.m. to noon Eastern. Only on FS1.
How happy do you think Skip Bayless is right now? LeBron James having another rough night.
He's in a good mood.
Well, yeah. He likes to get on him a little bit. A lot of it. Had a field day with him the other day.
Jose Alvarez, the lefty, on to face Corey Dickerson, who's looking for his first hit tonight. There's 2 Angel runs in the top half of this inning have made this hill a little more difficult to climb. Swing and a miss on the fastball. 2.
I think this is the matchup from last night, right, Dwayne?
That's right. Alvarez got him swinging in the 8th inning.
Heaters. And he's doing the same thing here. Same spot, trying to ride that ball up into the zone.
It's fouled back.
If I remember correctly, the heaters that he was able to get by him last night on the swing and miss were middle to middle in and elevated. So he tries to go away there. You wonder if he'll come back and try to sneak one into that spot. We're going to go breaking ball.
Taken wide. 1 and 2.
Did you see where Maldonado set up on that? I mean, shaking hands with Sosha.
And a cut and a miss. Back with a fastball up.
Yeah, and you know what? They wanted that. Maldonado wanted that pitch away, but it went right into that dark area where he was able to get Dickerson last night. Gets him here again tonight. Look where he set up away. That ball's not away. Middle up. And sneaks it right over the swing.
Four consecutive strikeouts here by the Los Angeles bullpen. Pitch is wide to Kiermaier. Tapper, 1-1. For 9-0 for the Angels, so 3-0 for the Rays. More action starting in the bullpen for the Angels. Blake Parker is up. Foul ball out of play off the bat of Kiermaier. Well, coming into the 8th, the Rays had scored 4 runs in their last 28 innings. You go back to Saturday, nothing in the final 3. They scored 2 Sunday, 2 Monday, and nothing tonight.
But that's on the heels of 44 runs in 44 innings.
Yeah. And Kiermaier is out on strikes. Last 5 outs have come on strikeouts. It's 4-0 Angels. The Rays coming up on Rays Live, the post game presented by WB Mason. Rich and Orestes will break down the starting performance of Matt Shoemaker after 6 1/3 of scoreless baseball. Kevin Cash will be available on his press conference, and Alex Cordry will have interviews from the clubhouse. We go to the 9th inning. Martin Maldonado leads off against Danny Farquhar and fouls the first pitch away, strike 1. 7 1/3 for Cobb, and all 4 runs turn out to be charged to him. He left with 2 men on, both scored. Upstairs, 1-1. The fastball there, and it's 1-2. Espinosa is due up next. And the third baseman, Pennington. Rays to have the middle part of the order up in the bottom of the 9th. They'll have to make a lot of noise. Fly ball right center field, and a diving catch by Souza Jr. Steven Souza Jr. racing to his right, angling in. Stretches out to make that catch. Nicely done out there.
Yes, it was. You cannot allow the Angels to grow this lead at all. Inside out, softly hit, and here comes Souza Jr. picking that ball off the turf about a foot and a half off. Boy, what a play. And it stayed in there. You can see that right hand coming. Make sure that nothing's going to fall out, but nice play by the Rays right fielder.
Danny Espinosa. First pitch strike. And 1. Now they have Keenan Middleton up in the bullpen. The Angels. Parker was up. Now Middleton. It's 1-2 on Espinosa. Two balls, 2 strikes. Big cut and a miss. Well, the changeup registers a strikeout. First strikeout for Farquhar.
Number 7,
2 up, 2 down, and here is Cliff Pennington. Rays to have Longoria, Morrison, and Beckham. Any deeper, Rasmus. Curveball stays wide. It's 1-1. Two balls and a strike. Pennington was caught off first after he singled in the 7th inning. Technically a caught stealing as Cobb caught him. Two now on Pennington. close right there, but wide. And the count is full. And Pennington walks. Two-out walk, and we'll go back to the top of the batting order.
Left fielder, Cameron Maker.
Well, here's Maben taking the first pitch for a strike. Cameron Maben opened this game with a home run and a 3-1 fastball out to left center field. And Mike Trout followed by hitting a fastball in the same spot. Up the right side, Souza Jr. on the run, can't get there, neither can Morrison. Racing down toward the bullpen. They had Robertson angling out, but it falls untouched, and the count is 0-2. Two shot into right field. Souza Jr. back to make the catch. A walk and a man left, and we go to the bottom of the ninth. The Rays will have Evan Longoria to lead it off. Logan Morrison will follow, and then Tim Beckham. They're going to need a big inning in the ninth, down 4-0. Rays in need of a big bottom of the ninth inning, down 4-0. They'll be facing 23-year-old right-hander Keenan Middleton. Fastball slider change combination on for the 8th time.
You can see the body of work, 9 strikeouts in 6 innings. He's also walked 5. So that'll be something to keep your eye on. Is he sharp early on, and can the Rays maybe work a couple of base runners here and get within striking distance?
The Angels missing the centerpiece of the outfield, Mike Trout.
It's an interesting strategy, Dwayne. Oh, he's going to go.
So we're all set to pick it up here in the bottom of the 9th inning with Evan Longoria leading off against Middleton. First pitch, and it's skied, a big popper, and down from first came Valbuena to make the catch. Maldonado looked up and had no idea where it was.
Nobody wanted any piece of that. Thank goodness for the Angels anyway that Luis Valbuena, because you're right, Maldonado looked up and forget it. He had no shot. And Valbuena, he was stuck on it. Look at those eyes. You never leave the baseball here at Tropicana Field. Too hard to pick back up, and he does make the play.
Logan Morrison, who doubled in the 7th inning, picking up at the time the second Rays hit of the night. They still have only 3. 97 from Middleton on that pitch.
With a little turn too, Dwayne. He's got a little twist. Try to put some deception into the delivery.
Two and 0. Shoemaker worked 6 1/3. Petit got credit for an inning. Alvarez 2/3. Morrison pops it up, and that's going to be out of play. It's now 2 and 1. Two and 2, fastball on the outside part of the plate to square the count. One out, base is empty. Beckham on deck. A line drive caught by Pennington. It appeared it might get through the left side, but had just enough slice on it to give Pennington a chance, and he made the catch.
Now, there it is, right off the end of the bat. You're right, Dwayne. It looked like he was going to be able to fall in, but Pennington able to range.
Two outs, and now Tim Beckham. Beckham with a bunt single and a walk tonight. Strikeout in between. Foul right back into the screen. A 1-1 count. It's wide. 2 balls, And to strike Rays down to their final out. Shut out on 3 hits to this point by 4 Los Angeles pitchers. Check swing, foul ball right back into the screen. 2-2. There's a liner into left. Maben is there, a little leap to make the catch, and that ends this game. It's a shutout for the Angels over the Rays. 3 up, 3 down, go the Rays. Shoemaker's going to get the win, Cobb the loss, with 2 hours and 56 minutes to play this game. And the best the Rays can hope for now is a split in this 4-game series. For Ron Anderson and Alex Cordry, Dwayne Stats, hope you've enjoyed the telecast and not the outcome. Rays Live, the post game is next.